Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? We are back. Well, back is you know, it's a word, it's a scale. Uh, we're here finally, though. Finally, somewhat back. It took me 3 days, a lot of tinkering, changing motherboards, swapping out RAM. And we finally was finally be able to make a computer that worked. It finally booted, and I unfortunately I lost all my files. Um, I had to put in a new hard drive. It's really annoying, but we're here finally. It's back up and running somewhat on half RAM. Yeah, the weird thing is it'll only take half my RAM. So I can only put in 2 sticks of RAM. It won't take 4. Why? I don't know. After 4 days, I have no idea. Why is my camera looking like that? That's so weird. Guys, hold on a sec. There we go. I don't know, someone had it clicked as mirrored camera. It's weird. You guys can see I'm still sunburnt like crazy. I'm still bright red from the trip. Good to see you, Betty C. Melissa, hey, how are you? Glitter's here. Sean, hey, back on the mainland. Yeah, I've been back since Monday, but I've had no computer until today. So, Retarder and good to see you. Carolina, it's good to be back. It's good. It feels weird. I haven't done a proper live stream in about a week, about 7 days. It's the longest break I've had since I started this channel. We were supposed to be back on Monday, but if the computer issues basically screwed us over on that one. Hey RX girl, good to see you, Mama Mia. Happy to see you. We've missed out on so much, so many different crime stories. It's been crime central all over the world over the last few days. It really has. There's so many different things. Yeah, thank you very much. I miss you guys too. It was weird. I wish I had had more spare time while I was away. I streamed as much as I could, but family just always wants you to do different things. They're always like, come here, do this. We're going to the beach. We're going over here. Come with us there. So I end up getting caught up with them for a lot of the time. But there's been a billion different things happen in true crime, including a story that we had started following before I left, has had the most crazy updates. I came back and read them when I got back, and it's nothing like what we thought it would be. Nothing like what we thought it would be. And it is it's turning into a bit of a major a major crime. So, do you remember how we talked about a woman who was wrapped in plastic near Botany in Sydney? Well, apparently somehow the police the police missed another body that was nearby, not very far, just a few steps from the young woman they found. Well, they found a male body about 10 meters away from that location. A male body. By the way, you don't have to update your screen. My face really is this red. I am still still peeling. Not wrapped in plastic? Is that what they said? No, they did. Oh, he wasn't found wrapped in plastic. Wait, oh yeah, here. It says bombshell claims emerge about murdered husband found wrapped in plastic next to his wife near Sydney airport. They say couple may have been targeted due to financial debts. So the male's name is, I'm not even going to pronounce his Chinese name, but his English name is Rex Chen. His body was only discovered on Tuesday, and it's his wife Sally. She was the one who had been found wrapped in plastic and was discovered by a jogger over a week ago. They're saying here homicide detectives have uncovered that Mr. Chen owed significant amounts of money to a loan shark. Sources told the newspaper Mr. Chen had a chronic gambling habit. Police are investigating whether a loan shark was responsible for the couple's death. Homicide Squad Commander Detective Superintendent, that's a long title, Danny Doherty, confirmed that Mr. Chen's financial woes are a strong line of inquiry. They said they owed money. There was no other criminality that we are aware of. And certainly, Sally has unfortunately become a victim because of that. Here's a photo of Sally. So that's her English name. And she's the one who was discovered in that park by the airport. It sounds like they both were in plastic. So it says both of them. Hold on. Oh, no, just the wife. Wait. A husband of a couple whose bodies were found dumped in a bushland creek near Sydney Airport racked up a huge gambling debt before the pair were killed. The body of Rex Chen, 33, was found submerged in a creek near Botany Bay, Sir Joseph Banks Park in Sydney South on Tuesday. Okay, so only the wife. Why would you only wrap the wife in plastic and not him? It's very odd. The whole thing's a bit strange. They reckon that there's a photo of Mr. Chen. They're saying that the other party involved in this that killed the couple, they may have already fled the country, and that they believe they may have gone to, basically left the country. They're saying Miss Lee or Lai, I don't know which one it is understood to have not been aware of the extent of her husband's gambling debts. A New South Wales police spokesperson declined to provide further comment on the latest revelations when contacted by the Daily Mail on Wednesday night. A neighbor of the couple told the publication that Mr. Chen's family was flying in from Taiwan this weekend to repatriate him. Detective Superintendent Doherty told a press conference on Tuesday afternoon that police believe the body discovered earlier in the day was that of Mr. Chen. All right, let's hear from Mr. Doherty himself. Let me grab that. Let me find it for you. Little rusty, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Where is it? We're looking for the Tuesday press conference. 1 day ago. Yes, no, we're not going to talk about Mangione. All right, here we go.
Police in New South Wales are looking into whether financial debt was a motive behind a targeted double murder after a second body was found in bushland near Sydney Airport. Miles Holbrook-Walk joins us from Botany, where the bodies were found. Miles, good morning. So what do we know about this investigation?
Well, Emma, it's stretched across several weeks now. It was first started in late November when the mother of Shuojin, Sally Lee, a 33-year-old woman who lives in the southwest of Sydney, was reported missing by her mother, and police then began investigations into trying to locate her. It wasn't until last week that a body was discovered in this very park, and it took some days for police to then be able to formally identify that woman as Sally Lee. Now, some days later, just yesterday, another body was discovered. Police fairly sure it is that of her husband, Zhai Bao Rex Chen, also 33 years old, and the couple lived together in Greenacre, some distance from this park, it is worth noting, at least a half an hour's drive. And police believe now that it is likely they were the victims of a double homicide. Police State Commander for the Homicide Squad, Danny Doherty, spoke to reporters yesterday and saying that they believe it could be one or even more people potentially involved in this suspected double homicide.
We thought there was a third party involved, very strong investigative theory. That is now been confirmed, that it's more than one person targeted both Sally and more likely Rex, and have murdered them, dumped their body off Foreshore Drive at Botany.
And so police have also identified a number of potential leads. Among them is the presence of a Toyota Avensis that was in the area, which they believe may have been used to dump the bodies here in this park. They've also found the phone of Rex Chen and found that there was activity on it after he went missing. That's led them to suspect 2 people they believe may have been involved in this incident, and they are now trying to track them down. They have, though, identified that not only was the phone discovered in Queensland, but that these 2 people were overseas, believed to be in either China or Taiwan.
So there you hear it. They could be in China or Taiwan now after the murder of 2 people, a couple. Pretty brutal way to go for a gambling debt. I always wonder what runs through these people's head. Okay, I'm going to kill 2 people, but I'm going to have to flee the country at the same time. It's pretty, it sounds like something out of a movie. Here is Miss Lee, a photo of her there. They say police believe the police believe the murders took place at the couple's Greenacre home in Sydney's southwest before their bodies were driven by 2 third parties to the bushland near the airport. At some stage after the bodies had been dumped in Botany, the third parties travelled up to Queensland. They say we've located a phone that ultimately had found its way back to the next of kin, which then police seized. So they took the phone for forensic analysis. That phone has been forensically examined, and from the inquiries we've had so far, we believe that there's at least 2 people involved and both have traveled overseas. Police are liaising with both Chinese and Taiwan authorities in the hunt for a suspected third parties involved. So apparently, it also says here he also sought to bat off criticism that it took police a week to find the second body. And he said, in reply to that, it's probably only within 10 meters, maybe even closer, but it's completely covered over. It's been submerged in very thick bulrush reed, and other foliage, which makes it nearly impossible to see. The grim discovery came 3 days after police launched a public appeal for information about Mr. Chen's whereabouts amid grave concerns for his welfare. Neither Miss Lee or Mr. Chen had been seen since November. Miss Lee's body was discovered a week after her mother, Susan, reported her daughter missing. They said a silver Toyota Avensis, which does not belong to either of them, had been seized by homicide squad officers as they believe it was used to dump both of the bodies. They say, we are looking at associations and families of Sally and Rex who may have been in a position to transport a body to Botany, then also to cover up the actual body at the crime scene. The detective superintendent said Mr. Chen was the last seen alive in November, and there was a strong investigative theory that a third party has been involved. They said not only in the suspected murder of Sally, but we also have to look at a third party being involved in the disappearance of Rex as well. Here's that screen grab of the Toyota Avensis that they reckon was used to transport those 2 bodies to the location. Pretty surreal. I told you guys back when we first talked about this story, this area is pretty quiet. You can even see on this screen grab that there's maybe another car in the background, but on the other side, there's really not much. And it's pretty quiet at night around that area. Hey, Video Reel, good to see you. Happy birthday, Leisha. How are you? Just got home from my first night of celebrating my birthday. I like people who seem to have a week-long celebration. Every night is their birthday. I like it. Yeah, good to see you too. Good to see you. I didn't know what I was going to do. I went looking for parts in case I needed to build a new PC, and the best estimates I could get was sometime after New Year's. So I'm glad I somehow got this one working. But a new PC will still have to be built at some stage because this one's running on like half RAM. It's not got the right parts in it. It's only working on basically skeleton parts right now. It's not running at full performance or anything. So it's just enough to get on stream. That's it. What are you saying was used to transport the bodies? This sort of minivan, what is it? It's a what did they say it was again? It's a Toyota Avensis. What is that? Sort of like a... No, that doesn't look like what we want to talk about. Okay, here we go. I'll show you a photo of one. It's sort of like, what would you guys call it in America? Like a minivan. Well, sorta. I don't know what you guys call this in America, but one of these. They're saying the bodies were put in the back of this vehicle and transported to the dump site in Botany. So I don't know what kind of car you call this. A station wagon? I don't know. It almost looks like a cross between a station wagon and a minivan. An SUV? I don't know if it's an SUV, but a crossover? Okay. Yeah, could be. But anyway, it's apparently large enough to fit 2 adult bodies inside. So if you have some bodies to move, it's a great advertisement for this particular vehicle. You can go down to your local, sales department and grab one. It's not a hatchback. It's too long. Too long to be a hatchback. What does it say here in my notes here? They call it a mid-size large family car. It's a great descriptive word. That's all they say it is. It's a medium to large family car, which tells me it's sort of like a minivan or something like that. Yeah, if we go to here. Maybe this is a better photo. There you go. So I don't know. I would call this similar to a minivan. It doesn't have the sliding doors, but it sort of has that shape. It is a SUV. It's pretty ugly for an SUV. We drove an SUV in Tasmania. We were supposed to get a hatchback, and they instead gave us this giant SUV that neither of us knew how to drive correctly because we don't drive cars that big. And instead of getting a tiny little hatchback, they gave us this. What was it? It was a Suzuki Vitara, right? Yeah, Suzuki Vitara is what they gave us. Yeah, it does sort of look like a minivan. Sorta, but it doesn't have the slidey door that you get in a lot of them. So yeah, it was a silver one that transported the bodies of Rex and Sally to that location in Botany. So yeah, now if I show you the photo again, you might be able to see the resemblance to what I've shown you down in that center bottom of the screen. I wonder if I can make that bigger. Can we? Oh, a little bit. No, that didn't help. Come on. Okay, now it's just being a dick. It doesn't want to help us. All right. I'm going to take you to a update when they found the second body. Okay.
Been found in the Sydney suburb of Botany, near where a woman's remains were discovered. Police have been searching in bushland for Jai Bao Rex Chen after the body of his wife, Zhujun Sally Lee, was found last Monday. Reporter Victoria Pengilly joins us now from Sydney. Victoria, what can you tell us?
Hi, Joe. Well, look, this is very much an unfolding situation. Police have told us that they found this second body around 2 p.m. this afternoon in very dense bushland in Botany, and they do believe that it's connected to the suspected murder of Sally Lee. Now, I'm going to bring you up to details on the case here, Joe, because it is quite a complex case. Sally Lee, she's a 33-year-old woman from Greenacre. Her body was found in this same bushland last Monday. She was formally identified on Sunday. Police say that she hadn't been seen or heard of since November, and they said that they held grave concerns for her husband, Rex Chang, also 33, also from Greenacre, who also hadn't been seen or heard of since November. Now, this second body is yet to be formally identified, but police suspect that it may be Rex Chang. They say
You know, if you look in this video, where is it? This is a photo of Sally that they showed, right? But in the more trashy newspapers, they showed this really terrible photo of her that doesn't look a ton like her, like with multicolored hair. I mean, she doesn't look bad or anything. It doesn't seem very representative of her other photos. It could be two different people. I noticed that when we we're watching the ABC video about when the second body was found. Oh, okay. Glad you could enlarge it. So that's where we are right now. We're in a multi-country, what would you call it? A multi-country manhunt or she hunt for the alleged killers of this couple. Imagine that though. You end up being murdered because of your husband's gambling debts that you have no idea about. Like you don't have any knowledge of it. You don't even know he does that. You don't even know he owes anyone money. But you end up murdered, wrapped in plastic, and dumped in a Sydney public park because of your husband's actions. That is a really sad way to go out. Really sad. Looks like her mum. Leisha says celebrating Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Xmas Eve. That's a hell of a birthday. I wait all year for it. Grateful to have made it to 54. Yeah, glad you made it to 54. That's an accomplishment. It is. Kathy Lynch says that was unfair to the wife. I agree. I mean, she may not even known why she was being attacked before she was murdered. She may have just been like, these people broke into my home, now they're killing me. And unfortunately, it was because of her husband's, I don't know, financial stupidness, because he seems to be very, very dumb. I mean, you don't take money from loan sharks. It seems to be like the number one rule in life. If someone can break your knees over a debt, it's probably not a smart investment. Touche said, "Hey guys, just hello." Sean says, "Good luck getting cooperation from the state. They'll just make you have an ID card first, and then a social rating, and then they might help you. But only if your social rating is, 5 stars. If it's not, there's no cooperation for you." I hope they'll be able to figure it out, but I have a bad feeling that once you head to China or Taiwan, chances of getting you extradited back is not fantastic. It's a pretty hard effort. You would have to wait for them to leave that country and go to a more sympathetic country, not China, not Taiwan. Let's see if we can find. I just want to have a look for Rex for a second. Why is it giving me this? This is so weird. Hold on. Hold on. Maybe we have to do it this way. There was another link I wanted to show you. No, that didn't work. That's okay. Here, let me take you to this article. So they're saying here, New South Wales police find second body near where woman's remains were found wrapped in plastic. I mean, wrapped in a plastic bag. They said, in short, a second body found near where a woman's remains were located wrapped in plastic at Botany last week is believed to be the woman's husband. Last Saturday, detectives formally identified the 33-year-old woman as Sally Lee and said they were searching for her husband, Rex Chen, also 33. Jeez. They're saying here, there he is, Mr. Bright Eyes. They're saying New South Wales police said officers found a second body at Botany 2 p.m. on Tuesday, and he described the deaths as targeted double murder and said at least 2 people likely had fled overseas. And they said, as I said previously, we thought there was a third party involved. There's Mr. Doherty. They said he added that police were theorizing the alleged murders took place at Miss Lee's and Mr. Chen's Greenacre home before the bodies were taken with that Toyota Avensis, which was shown in the CCTV. The location of where the alleged murder would have happened would have been in the Greenacre address. Well, if that's the case, have they taken any forensic data from that home? It says here the Toyota has been forensically examined, but I haven't seen anything about that property in Greenacre being, checked over. I mean, killing people is messy business. So let's see. Strike Force Zygon is the task force that's being put together to solve these murders. All right, let's go here. They've got some little bit of CCTV here, actually. Let's have a look. Here it is. There's that silver van. Yeah, right. There it goes. And they believe at this time that they contained one or more bodies. You can see that road's not super busy. There is some tail lights, so I see a couple. You would think with all the cameras they have in Australia, including the seatbelt and the mobile phone one that looks down into your windshield, that they would be able to pick up more than this, but who knows? Let's see. Hey, Catatonic, how are you? Sean says, missing a month, decomposition must be bad. Not only that, but they put him in a creek. It wouldn't bode well. The description I heard was severely decomposed. Like, to the point where they couldn't recognize whether it was male or female and couldn't recognize if they were, 18 or 105. They just had no idea due to the advanced state of decomposition. So we will keep an eye on this, but I just have a really weird feeling that we're really not going to hear it a whole lot more. Anytime you have people that flee to countries that don't have an extradition treaty with Australia, we tend to just not hear anything for large periods of time. Kathy says there's a camera that looks down into your windshield. Yeah, we have ones here that look down into. They even caught a woman was sitting in a passenger seat, and she had her legs or knees slightly up, and they took photos down her dress or skirt. And when she got sent the photo in the mail, there was a nice what would you call it? A upskirt shot of herself that got sent to her in the mail. Touche says, a polyp nose op. Did you see a Tasmanian devil? I didn't. We didn't end up going because of the we were really trashed after the wedding. The wedding went much later than we thought. We all smelt like smoke afterwards, and we were all pretty drunk by the end of the night. I can tell you that. Oi, Mrs. P, did you see a Tasmanian devil? That one on the road that looked like a black cat.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that's what it was.
What else would it be?
The bus driver said it was a. What did he say? It was a wallaby.
A wallaby?
He said wallaby.
That's a funny looking wallaby.
One, you think it looked like one either.
What else could it be? Tasmanian tiger?
It did look like a Tassie devil, but it was so dark and it was hard to tell.
So she's talking about when we were leaving the wedding, we were driving down, like to get to the wedding venue, you had to drive down this like crazy long road that had like all these steep hills and like sharp turns, and it was all what would you call it? Like unpaved. It didn't have any road on it. It was just dirt and rocks and and just as we were leaving, something ran out in front of the bus and almost got killed. And it was quite large. It was black and fluffy and just looking, it looked weird. Hold on, let me see if, what did he say it was? A wallaby. Yeah, I don't think it looked like a wallaby either. Its fur was way too long. Oh, I don't think it. Oh, well, maybe. Nah, it was way more fluffy than that. I was gonna show you guys here. This is what the bus driver said it was, but it didn't look like that. It was pitch black, and it had really long fur. I don't know what the hell that means, but maybe it was a quokka. Maybe it was a quokka. What else did he say was out there? Quolls, right? Quolls. So apparently there's little quolls out there. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a quoll before, but apparently there's these little guys that live out there. These little guys live out there too. So wait, didn't we see one on the side of the road too, a Tasmanian devil, when we were driving back to the airport? Yeah, remember you saw that big one, the big black one? Yeah, we saw. You know, the saddest thing is about when we drove hundreds of miles around Tasmania to get to our wedding venue. The one of the saddest things we saw was the massive amounts of roadkill. There was so much roadkill. It was really insane. It was just like every 100, not even every 10 meters, there was another dead animal. You know, oh, koala, wallaby, Tasmanian devil, like quoll, all sorts of things. No, we didn't get to see a paddy melon, unfortunately. It's very sad. We couldn't convince any family to come with us, and because we'd all been drinking so heavily the night before, we were all like, "Are we allowed to drive in the morning?" You know, are we still a little drunk? So we didn't want to risk, you know, driving while still slosh from the night before. Sean says, I guess the killers forfeited their money. I guess so. Let's see. Yeah, so unfortunately we didn't get to go, but yeah, it's just I don't know. I feel like when you go on holidays, you have all these great ideas, and then when you get there, you get so caught up doing whatever. It just time just melts away really fast. And we'd meet up with people and then it would be like, "Oh, it's 5:30 now." And we met up with them at like, you know, 11 a.m. in the morning or something. You know, there was so many family there. If I had to estimate, there was at least 30 of our family, like our family and friends, just our close ones. It was like everyone was there. And the wider group was about, how many people do you think were at the wedding? Like 80 people, 80, 90 people. There was like a lot of people. Yeah, we had a fun time. I wish I didn't get so burnt. Look at my face. It's the same color as my sign behind me. I am peeling I wonder if I can show you my hands. My hands are, you can see where my jumper was on my hands in the sun. I've got like half of my hand is red and the rest of it's white. It's like my hands are completely baked and very sore. A pademelon. Tasmanian pademelon? No, this is a quoll, I think they said. A quoll. Let me see. You know, this really does look more like the one we saw at the night. This little guy. This is a Tasmanian devil. Retired Aaron says, yeah, thank you. I had a great time. It was nice to see everyone. We got to see a lot of people. The ending of my trip was not good. I still can't believe that we babied the the car. So when we got the car, they warned us. They're like, "Oh, if you damage the car, it's going to be like $8,000 in excess or whatever." And we babied it, drove under the speed limit, really took care of it, didn't park it in, bad places or whatever. And we were having breakfast and we finished. We were about to throw all the luggage in the car and take off back to the airport to catch our flight. And the bloody manager comes up and he's like, "Oh yeah, our cleaning golf cart thing hit your car." And I was like, "Are you effing kidding me? Come on, man. Like we're just about to drive to the airport and you ruined the end of my holiday." We still haven't heard anything back about that. I hope we do. Hold on. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up on the comments. Yeah, so we did have a lot of fun. We saw that great beach that I showed some photos of. What else do we? One of the crazy things. So we're in Tasmania, and I got burnt. You guys can see how sunburned I am. We flew from Tasmania to Melbourne. The day we flew into Melbourne, it was over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So we flew in it's weird. It was so cool. It was like 20 degrees or like in the 60s, high 60s in Tasmania. High 60s, low 70s, something like that. And then we flew into Melbourne. It was over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It was so hot. Kathy Lynch says, "Not your fault that someone else hit your rental car." Yeah, but rental car companies are not very nice to people, and I'm worried they're going to try and hit me with the cost, and then I'm going to have to go chase it from my insurance or something. I'm a little worried, so we'll see what happens. But the hotel did admit fault, and they said they even had CCTV of the incident that they were willing to hand over. So we'll see. I hope when we handed the car back, they basically said, if you never hear from us, that's a good thing. If you get a phone call from us, that's a bad thing. They were saying like you shouldn't hear from us because it should be all right, but we'll find out. We'll find out. All right. All right, I got another Australian story, then we're going to head to America. If I can bring this up. All right, give me 1 second. I have to switch screens. Hold on. All right, I have a weird story, another one from Australia, and we're going to go to 7 News, okay? If it'll play. Go on, play the video. That's not the video I wanted to play, but it's okay. It is for the same crime. They're saying a homicide confirmed in the death of a 21-year-old man found in a backseat of a car in North Queensland. They say the man was seen with a friend driving the Subaru erratically and performing donuts before his death. They say a 21-year-old man found dead in a car in North Queensland was the victim of a homicide. A passerby found the man from Vincent sprawled across the back seat of a silver 2003 Subaru Forester on Webb Road at Woodstock, south of Townsville, about 8:45 a.m. on Saturday, December 14. Post-mortem examination results indicated the death was definitely a homicide. Police have released photos of the vehicle and appealing for anyone who may have seen it on the evening of Friday, December 13 or Saturday, December 14, to come forward. They believe the man was killed during that time. Here's the vehicle, and you look at the surrounding area. There's not a lot out there, and like they said, he was seen earlier that night acting erratically and like doing donuts and burnouts, and then somehow ended up dead on the back seat of his own car. Video Reel says, oh, that's a different comment. Laura T says, yikes, the unknown of it is still nerve-wracking. They could call to say it's okay. They could. God's country, yeah. Touche says, could you live in Tasmania? Rental cats. I hate rental cats. They're a nightmare too. This is pretty gruesome though. They say here, the cause of death has not been disclosed publicly. Investigators are searching for additional evidence such as a possible weapon or items worn by the victim, who reportedly had no visible injuries. No visible injuries. That's an odd thing to have as a homicide in the back of a car for a male. They're saying here he was last seen late on Friday with a 26-year-old friend. They said they told the ABC the pair had been seen driving the Subaru erratically and performing donuts in the Woodstock area. On Saturday morning, a truck driver spotted the friend walking on Dingo Park Road and picked him up. He was dropped off at a roadhouse in nearby Calcium, where he allegedly got into a double B truck and drove it a few meters before the driver intervened, removed him, and called police. He was arrested on charges unrelated to the 21-year-old friend's death. They're saying here, he's obviously a person of interest, but we can't rule out the fact that there could have been a third party involved. Shepard said it was obvious the 26-year-old was under the influence of some sort of substance that morning. However, police said they do not expect to find any similar substance in the 21-year-old's body, although toxicology results are still pending. Both men are described as Caucasian in appearance and were in a Subaru, which Shepard described as an older model and a bit distinctive, with the registration number plate 677KM8. Queensland Police are urging anyone with dashcam footage from Webb Drive or Dingo Park Road to come forward as the investigation continues. It's really important that we try and establish a timeline of the movements of the victim and his friend on that Friday night and Saturday morning. The more people who come forward, the better, so we can exactly work out where they were and when. Sounds like they might think the friend may have done something very stupid while high. That's what it sounds like. Video Reel says Dingo Park Road, no thanks. Yeah, no visible injuries. It's an odd, like, how would you? What are the manners of death that you could do in the backseat of a car in the middle of the bushland here? Asphyxiation. That could be done. Carbon monoxide poisoning. Somehow, if you got a hose into the car or something. Gunshot wound. Sometimes gunshot wounds are not seen. You know, you can't see them visually when you first look at a dead body, and it's not like something you can see quite like straight away. No, they said they don't believe any drugs to be found in the toxicology, so not an OD. Touche said Subarus are always dodgy. Your local drug dealer probably drives a Subaru. Video Reel says, right, as if the environment won't kill you. I find that little hint of what's going on a bit strange. Could he have hit his friend in the car somehow? Like, could he have ejected his friend from the car, hit him with the vehicle, and then put him back in the car? Like, I don't understand how you kill someone unless you beat them to death, but that's noticeable. No visible injuries or reason to think they were killed. So it's not like he beat him to death or something like that. Like that's a very typical male on male murder, or with a weapon. So the only ones I can come up with are asphyxiation, gunshot, like something like carbon monoxide poisoning, but it doesn't make sense in the situation. It's a bit odd. Yeah, it says here, police said they do not expect to find any similar substance in the 21-year-old's body, although toxicology results are pending. So they don't believe that to be called like an OD or something like that. If some gunshots don't leave a visible injury on the front of the body, like while there is a gunshot wound and a hole in whatever they're wearing, sometimes it's the exit wound out the back that causes more of the visible injury. I mean, that's just one thing I can think of, but it's a strange thing. It's not like he hung himself or something. It's not like there's no tree nearby where he's like, aha, a tree. I don't know. I think it's a weird way of describing this homicide. They said cause of death had not yet been disclosed. Investigators are searching for additional evidence, such as a possible weapon or items worn by the victim. What do you mean items worn by the victim? Was he naked? Who stole his clothes? Did his friends steal his clothing? That's very odd. A possible weapon. What about if he was stabbed to death? But you would get a lot of blood. Same with gunshot, but what's another way you could do that? I don't know. I wonder if it has something to do with the vehicle. Like somehow, I don't know, they got into a crash or something? I don't know. Poison. Hey, this is not Aaron Patterson. This is not Aaron Patterson. An ice pick. That's a what is this? Some sort of 1990s movie, you know. What's that one called? What's the one called with Michelle Pfeiffer in it? Is it Michelle Pfeiffer? I can't remember the title. It's the one where they all see her lady parts when she crosses her legs. What is that one? Ah, Sharon Stone. Okay. Fatal Attraction. That one. I can't say I've ever watched that movie. I don't think I've ever watched that movie. I have no idea what it's about. Basic Instinct. Basic Instinct. Laura T says, odd if they're looking for a weapon but no visible signs of injury. Yeah, it's strange, right? You'd be like, there's no visible signs of injury, but we do have this giant pool of red substance over to the left here. We're not sure if it's connected to the guy who's dead, but there's no visible signs of injury. But just ignore the giant pool of what looks like it could be tomato sauce. We're not sure. We're gonna have to do some forensic testing. Ignore all the blood, but definitely no signs of injury. Touche says Basic Instinct, don't bother watching. I don't think I've ever watched it. I think Wild Things was better. Well, I haven't watched Basic Instinct, but Wild Things was pretty good. Marylander says Michael Douglas and Sharon Stone. Aren't they like 70 now? Isn't she like really angry at Hollywood for that scene or something? She's like, I was, coerced into taking off my underwear on camera. And everyone's like, you signed up for it. And she's like, yeah, I know that, but I'm still mad. Hold on. All right. All right. Okay. Moving on from the one in Townsville. We have some developments in Susan Simpson's case. Now, I wasn't expecting this to happen, and I probably be a bit naive to not to have expected it to happen. but they've actually gone after a grand jury charge with the friend who apparently helped Susan's husband dispose of evidence and basically try and cover up the crime of killing his wife. So I'm going to bring that up. Hold on. Let me bring that up. Hold on, duration time. No, that's not what we need. I'm a little rusty. All right, here we go. Let's go to KSAT.
And first at 5, a new development in the Suzanne Simpson case. James Val Cotter, the longtime business partner of Suzanne's husband, Brad Simpson, has been indicted in the case of the missing Olmos Park woman.
According to Bexar County jail records, Cotter was indicted by a grand jury on charges of tampering with evidence with the intent to impair an investigation and possession of prohibited weapons. He's accused of going into Brad Simpson's gun room the day after Suzanne Simpson was last seen and removing an AK-47 that was illegally modified. Investigators believe Cotter then hid that gun in his own home, all at the request of Brad Simpson, who was now charged with murder and his wife's disappearance. The investigation into Cotter's alleged involvement centers around text messages from Brad Simpson to Cotter. Cotter cannot contact Simpson now, have a firearm, and must wear a GPS monitor. Meanwhile, Suzanne Simpson's body still has not been found.
First at 5, murder suspect Brad Simpson in court today for the first.
So there you go. The latest update. His friend now indicted himself. They can be indictment buddies. They can go hang out in a local Bexar County jail. They can talk about the good times of how they got served their paperwork together. And they can try and cover up more things like, I don't know, the prison laundry or the meal service in the prison. Who knows? I think what's very sad to me is while it's a great step in the right direction for justice part of it, we still have no idea what happened to Susan or where she is. And I feel like they're not really actively looking anymore. They're just waiting on someone to say, hey, we found some like human remains over here. You might want to check them out. They're pretty decomposed. You should come here soon. It looks like it's a human remains. It basically looks like what's going to happen. Kathy Lynch says, I missed something. I took my headset off to talk to hubby. Came back and hear someone was taking off their underwear on camera. It was me. I was taking my underwear off on camera. I wanted to do my best Paris Hilton impersonation, and I felt like it was a good way to drum up some subscribers on this channel. We may get banned by YouTube. Marylander says, oh yeah, that's what we were doing. Yeah, it's an incredibly frustrating case because it feels like the cops know almost everything that happened except for where he took her. Like they can't narrow down an area small enough for them to get a better search going. Yeah, how do you get rid of this? There we go. They say James Cotter, the longtime business partner of Brad Simpson, was formally charged Monday in the case of the missing Olmos Park mom, Susan Clark Simpson. He was indicted by a grand jury on charges of tampering with evidence with the intent to impair an investigation and possession of prohibited weapons. Records with the Bexar County Jail show the indictment was handed down from the 186th court in Bexar County. They're saying Cotter posted bond on November 8 after having his bond reduced from $1 million to $100,000. Under the bond conditions, Cotter cannot have contact with Brad Simpson or have possession of a firearm, and also must be fitted with a GPS monitor. Cotter is accused of entering Brad Simpson's gun room on October 8 at Brad's urging and removing an AK-47 that was illegally modified and hiding it in his own home. Police said the firearm, which the Fed said was modified into a machine gun, was not properly registered. It's a very interesting holding charge. They say here Cotter's attorney Robert Maurer had asked the judge to reduce his bond, calling it unconstitutional. It's like, I feel like if your lawyer's saying that to the court, the conversation between the client and the lawyer went something like this: we really don't have anything to defend you with. We have no great defense for you. And then the guy goes, well, what can we do? And the lawyer goes, we've got a plan. We're going to go into court and we're just going to call everything unconstitutional. You know, it's our patriotic right. Everything everything is unconstitutional. Makes it sound very serious. They say here, Brad Simpson has been charged with Susan Simpson's murder. While authorities have not yet found Susan Simpson, sources said they believe they had enough evidence to charge Brad in her death. Earlier this month, two sources told KSAT that law enforcement officials told Susan Simpson's family that her DNA was found on a reciprocating saw that Brad Simpson allegedly tried to conceal. What is it with males and cutting up their wives? We've had at least a couple of these recently. They said the information became available 2 days after Brad Simpson was indicted on multiple charges, including murder. In the paperwork for the indictments, investigators mentioned for the first time that Brad Simpson allegedly attempted to hide the reciprocating saw. The tool is a handheld electric saw that can be used for various applications, like cutting up a wife. They said here last week a judge issued a gag order in the case, according to court documents. So annoying. It seems like anytime we get close to the truth, they're like, gag order, gag order. We're going to issue a gag order. They say Bexar County District Court Judge Joel Perez issued the order to ensure a fair trial and not to taint the potential jury pool when the trial begins. What? What about the other, 2 months of wall-to-wall coverage out of Texas, including KSAT, a bunch of other Texas-based papers covering every movement of the case? I don't know where you're going to find people that are like, I've never heard of Brad Simpson. Who is that? Who is Susan Simpson? I have no preconceived notions about any of this. I think you would have a hard time pulling a jury that could be like, I've never heard of either of these people. I don't know who they are. They say Susan Simpson, a real estate agent and a mother of four, was reported missing on October 7, one day after she was last seen outside her home in Olmos Park. A neighbor told police that he saw Brad and Susan in a physical altercation outside their home the night before. According to an arrest warrant affidavit for Brad Simpson, earlier that day, witnesses said the couple had been in a fight at the Argyle, a dinner club in Alamo Heights. Extensive searches have so far failed to find Susan Simpson. Ugh. There you go. He sort of looks like a Walmart version of Sylvester Stallone, but now, not like when he was 1995. He looks like Temu version style, Sylvester Stallone. Kathy Lynch says men look for any opportunity to use tools. That is true. Actually, I don't think I have it here, but I actually just got some new tools myself, including a little ratchet. I was going to show it to you guys, but I don't know what oh, here it is. See, we just keep little tools everywhere. This is like a little, you can hear it. It's a little flat one. So what you do with it is you can put those detachable screwdriver bits that you can get for mini screwdrivers. Well, if you have a bad angle where you can't get a full screwdriver in and you need something that can get into tight spaces, you can use this, and it's because it's got the ratchet on it, you don't need to move it very far. You can just sort of move it a couple of clicks and push back and keep going. It's a great little thing. I had that joke too, Video Reel, but considering my channel is 85% women, I'm not sure I'm allowed to make that joke. You can. I'm not sure I'm allowed to. It definitely seems like there may have been some dismemberment, considering they found her remains or DNA on that reciprocating saw. So, gross. I think it takes a real, person who's broken in the head to be able to cut up a human. It really does, and it's not something that just happens one day. It must be with you forever. You have to already have that intent within you. I don't think you can just rock up one day and be like, "Well, I killed my wife. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something that's so disgusting. I'm going to cut up her body, and then I'm going to scatter her like fish food around the local area and hope that I get away with it." I really think that you have to be already mentally there to be able to do it, because it's really not as easy as some of these murderers make it out to be. Like, oh yeah, I just got me chainsaw and I just started it up. It only took a couple of like tries, and I went out there and I just like cut her up. I took her foot first, and then I was like, wow, she's got pretty big feet, so I should probably cut her leg into two. You got to make equal pieces, otherwise you can't carry them. So I just kept cutting her up, and then I got to the squishy stuff, and I needed to get the shop back because it got real messy real quickly, and the shop vac does dry and wet things, so it came in handy when I was cutting up the body. Video Reel says, I've interviewed women who use screwdrivers on kids to like turn them on. Or Carliza says, it's scary, makes me wonder how many husbands have thought inside them, just haven't had the motivation to do it yet. I don't know. I don't know what makes someone do that. It's such a full on part. Like, killing someone is one thing. Cutting them up is like it's to me it's like a whole other crime. Dominique Pellicott was just sentenced. I didn't see that. I've been away, so I've been a little slow on the news. Let me see. Oh God, stupid email. The computer's not quite as what I remember. Let me have a look. Wow, that's a disappointing sentence out of the Dominic Pellicott. He's the guy who drugged his wife in France to have men come to their home and sexually assault his wife, or R-word his wife. It's saying here, BBC News, breaking news, Dominic Pellicott sentenced to 20 years in prison. That is a very weak sentence. Very weak sentence. I don't know how much I can show you without getting in trouble, but she's about to make a statement. I don't think I can play it for you without getting into trouble and having my channel kicked off the air. But I can just tell you that yeah, 20 years. I think that's apparently, according to his lawyer, he's considering an appeal. Just go back to your hole, fella, and die. Because if you don't go to that jail, someone's going to absolutely beat the living crap out of you in the real world. I promise it'll happen. Ain't no one scared to hit you. They said man who followed Pellicott's lead will not appeal verdict, according to lawyer. Wow, 20 years in jail. 20 years in jail for one of the most horrific sex crimes ever in France. 20 years. It is a terrible sentence. I know, but I still think it's not enough for the depravity of what he did to his own wife. When you're married to someone, you know, it's sacred, the bond and trust you have between each other, and to break that not only damages you, your wife, your relationship, but it damages society to be able to see that this is doable. It breaks it, really does. Yes, I'm very interested in the murder case. I've done a ton of research, but the information coming out of France is very thin on the real estate agent. It's so small. I wish I had a lot more. Hopefully, I'll have more soon. Video Rail says, and if not, send him to an American jail. He won't last 5 hours. Can I show him the guy? Yeah. Dominic Pellicott. Yeah. I think we can show you a photo, right? Oh, we only had to show court photos of him. There's only like a few like weird photos of him. There's a couple. Oh, this one's a good one here. So there's a bit of a side by side. I think a lot of the photos are very old of him. Here's another one here. Yeah, I will be covering the murder. If he goes to trial for the murder charge, I will be covering it. I really want to know what happened to that woman. I think her name was. I'm probably going to get it wrong, and for some reason, I always think this is her name, and I'm pretty sure it's not. I always think her name is Sophie, but I don't think it is. Retired RN says his poor wife. She has to be so messed up. I think she's an incredibly strong woman. I don't know what that would be like to have to stand in front of the world, not just in France, but through these TV cameras, the entire globe, and tell people what happened to you, even at her age. I think that's it's something that none of us can relate to ever. None of us can relate to it. I don't think you can. I can't. She is very brave to not hide, but not stay behind her law-given anonymity, and to come forward to. It's her version of pushing back against her husband to show that she won't be hidden because of the crimes he did to her, and it's her way of standing against him to show him what he's done and the world what he's done. He's a real evil mother effer. Yeah, I some of the details about how she was shown video of herself being SA'd in her own bed, and she's like, I don't even remember it. I don't remember this happening. I don't remember anything. Must be haunting. Kaliza said, I think either she or her daughter wrote a book about it as well. She has supportive children. Yes, I think it was her daughter that wrote the book, wasn't it? It is too short of sentence. Let me see if I can get an update one. I can't play the live stream, unfortunately, because we will get absolutely kicked down the road by YouTube. But hold on. Let me see if I can find a good update one for you. What is going on with my YouTube stuff? It looks terrible. Last 24 hours. All right, here we go.
Guilty of aggravated rape, Monsieur Pellicot. Siobhan?
Yes, that's just come in the last few seconds. Monsieur Pellicot, guilty of aggravated rape against Giselle Pellicot, guilty. So the prosecutors already asked for a maximum sentence of 20 years for the crimes that he's accused of. There's another verdict coming in. I'm just waiting for that to come through. He's guilty of the illegal broadcast of images. So that, of course, is in relation to this file of up to 20,000 indecent images that police found. And he had meticulously organized this file. He seemed to have a fascination with pornography, and in some of the videos that he filmed of his motionless wife being raped, you can hear him talking in the background. And actually, when the police found the videos, they weren't just, you know, the raw videos. He'd actually edited them into these sinister collections. He's guilty of recording images of Giselle Pellico as well. Now, they are just continuing with that information going through. As I said, the setup we've got here is very tight security because, of course, this is a high-profile case. So there are concerns about, one, Giselle Pellico being overwhelmed. Two, they don't want any violence to break out around this because there are a lot of very angry people about this case, particularly about these 51 men on trial.
You have to ask though. We focus so much on the husband, but you have to ask the question: the men that chose to do this, knowing that she was unconscious, you can't be stupid enough to know that that woman is not consenting. There's no one on earth that would have, you know, the genuine need to be able to say, "Oh, I thought she was consenting." Like, not a chance. Not a chance. She was out cold. And you have to ask, if there's this many men walking around ready to contact someone off a forum on the internet and go around to a property that they don't know and basically R-word a man's wife on his command, you have to ask the question, where did we go so wrong in our societies that this seems to be an okay thing to do on a Friday afternoon or a Thursday afternoon or after work on a Tuesday, head over to some random guy's house you met on the internet to abuse his wife with, you know, with his permission, because obviously women are objects that men can give permission for, right? It's disgusting. It really is. I thought we'd come further than this, but these type of cases show us that that mentality is still alive and well in our communities, and that is very, very sad. 51, I know. So even if you took that as a sample size of whatever percent you want to come up with of the French population, multiply that out based on the different like criteria, like per capita, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of men who would probably do this. I mean, not that they have or not that they will be charged for it, but the statistics tell you otherwise based on this. I know, right? Hey Texas, how are you? Khaliza says his daughter says he recorded. Yes, there was a photo found on his computer of his daughter naked, wearing her mother's dress and shoes, and she says she doesn't remember that having taken place. She now believes that she was also drugged and abused while living under that roof. Kelly says the real estate agent was called Sophie Nam. Thank you. Oh, I got it right for once. Sophie's story is really interesting. I've done a little bit on this channel before. I really am very eager for more information, but so far it's been kept behind a bit of a brick wall from the prosecutors. But I am very interested to know more about the trial for that. More information, the evidence, things like that. Wendy says revolting to think of, definitely. The fact that she only had a sneaking suspicion something was wrong when she kept coming up with gynecological issues that she couldn't explain, or she didn't have a real life reason to have, you know, serious issues. And how many men did they not catch? I would suggest that these ones, the 50 that they did get, are only the ones who are dumb enough to either use their real name or somehow not conceal their identity. Big clue there, yeah, exactly. Let me see if I can find anything else because I'd like to hear Giselle speak. Hold on. If I can find that any time past 24 hours. Hold on, Giselle. Sorry, I'm just trying to find one where she actually talks. All right. I'm going to have to check a different one out. Hold on, guys. Let me check Sky News. Our friends at Sky News. Actually, let's hear what his lawyer has to say. I think that would be hilarious.
With regard to Dominique Pellicot, 20 years of prison with measures. Monsieur Pellicot has noted this decision. As yet, as Dominique Pellicot's lawyer, I would like to just say that I hope that it's a good thing for justice that these debates were able to take place in the environment they did. We felt that the necessary respect was given. I am not the lawyer of Mrs. Pellicot. I'd like to just emphasize this. We are now in the pre-court phase of events, and there are 10 days, as I said, for us to debate the verdict and to decide whether or not we wish to appeal. As I said at the beginning of these debates, Mr. Pellicot was not necessarily the conductor that was alleged, but it's important to actually look at the difference made between the verdict.
I find it very, very hard to understand how a woman, even a lawyer, would be okay with defending him. Even if she's like, justice is justice and everyone needs a lawyer, even based on principle, I would wonder what type of person would be willing to defend him as a female. I would think a lot of them would be like, I'm not willing to touch the case. But I'm not sure if she's ordered to by the court, if that's how it works in France. But I would imagine there were a lot of female lawyers who did not want to defend him, but just due to principle. He deserves to be taken out to freaking Bangkok and given the old 5 rifles and 1 bullet. They're like I'll ask you a question to put out to the audience, right? Do you think someone like Dominic P or Pellicot or whatever his name is, do you think he can be rehabilitated at his age? Now, this is a man accused of attempted murder, and over 100 charges of sexual crimes against his wife and other women. I think you would have to say it puts him in the top 1% of all crimes in France, if not other places in the Western world. And I personally think he needs to be locked away for the rest of his life. He is a danger to society. He's already proven this by killing a young female real estate worker and attempting to kill a second one. And when that wasn't enough, he set up the one person that loved him unconditionally, which was his wife, and caused her one of the not only crimes, but it's indescribable what he did to her. He basically destroyed her self-worth, killed off any sort of self-esteem she would ever have, and he basically dismantled that woman with his crimes, and that's so sad. But I think she's been able to overcome that and become a very strong lady now. Not that she wasn't strong before, but she's showing you know that he won't beat her by doing what she's doing now during the court and that. But what he did to her is it's nightmare fuel for a lot of people, not just women but men. Uh, it's nightmare fuel. She deserves all the support in the world. It's just horrific. We throw that word around a lot, but what he did really is. Ex-husband now should be ex-human now, because that's what he is. He's subhuman. Only a subhuman or a psychopath would do something like that. Kelly says, I think he's possibly been linked to 2 other murders. I know he's linked to Sophie Nam's one. There was a real estate worker before her where he attempted to murder her, but something spooked him and he ran away. Or she escaped. I can't remember which one. Then he killed Sophie. I don't know about the other 2. Yeah, he's old enough to die in prison with a 20-year sentence. This is my guess. My guess is he won't see the end of the 20-year sentence because someone is going to get some jail justice against him. He is not safe in jail, I'm telling you. Ruby said, this case reminds me kind of the lady in WA whose husband was using her as a sex slave for online viewers. She ended up killing him, though, and she went to prison. Oh, it sounds familiar, but I can't remember who the name is. Yeah, I don't believe he can be rehabilitated either. And I think someone who has shown you the pattern of their behavior over such a long period of time, morphing their MO as well. Originally, he was a person attacking random women that he fancied. Then he started attacking his own wife when he couldn't attack random women anymore. Kaliza says, does jail justice happen there? Just curious. Yes, it does. 100%. People are being killed in French jails. 100%. Hold on. Let's listen to the rest of this lawyer.
It for Mr. Pellico and for the codependents making up this orchestra as it has been described. I am not going to criticize any decision made by the courts. We are going to examine whether or not we wish to appeal this. We're going to respect the 10-day deadline we've been given to actually analyse our position and to see whether or not we wish to go forward to a popular jury decision. How is your client reacting? The client is showing the same attitude as he has done throughout. He is struck by the period in question, the sentencing period. We, as I say, are going to take the 10 days to digest this, and he's going to think about his future.
Sorry, we're having some tech issues. Hey, hey, Eric, what's up, bud? Good to see you, mate. Did you just wake up? It's like pretty early over there. Wendy asks says, with all that videotape evidence, what grounds would you appeal on? I was just thinking that listening to her, she's like, we'll take these next 10 days to study our position and analyze what grounds to an appeal we would have. I think he's pretty nailed dead to rights on this. Like, what were you going to say? The judge messed something up? Sure, we'll put you through a new trial and you'll get the same evidence and it'll be overwhelming again. What exactly are you going to appeal on? And how would you even figure you could try and quash this? I think they're shoveling poop uphill. It is not a winnable battle. I hope she just tells him there's no such thing as an appeal and walks away. Yeah, he is shoveling poop uphill. He is not going to get an appeal out of this. You need to find something. It has to be valid. You have to have a valid either technical or legal reason to get it, and I don't understand where you would even look for something. They pick apart things like the judge. They'll say things like the judge was wrong in her directions to the jury or something, and they'll try to get an appeal based on that. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it should be 1,000,000 years. I want to see that. You've been sentenced to 1.5 million years, just in case you're a vampire and we're all long gone when you're still living, and someone has to kill you with a silver bullet. Hold on, who's emailing me? Okay. Okay, thanks, Amazon. Reby says that old case in WA is about Chamari Li Yanggi. I don't know that one. Back in 2014, she was jailed and then got out. I can't say I fully remember that. It sounds vaguely familiar, but not super familiar. Let me see if I can find anything about it. Really not a ton about it. Walks free from jail. Here, they say doctor who killed abusive husband talks about the domestic violence trap. She says, I thought he would change. There's a photo of her from Geraldton in the WA. They say Chamari doesn't look like a woman who's endured years of abuse. She doesn't look like a woman who was beaten by her husband with a wooden rolling pin and a metal chair, forced to perform sex acts for strangers on Skype, who lived in constant fear of the man she thought she loved or who loved her. She certainly doesn't look like a woman who bludgeoned that same man to death with a mallet as he lay in bed in their Geraldton home in June 2014. And that's exactly why she's telling her story. She said, I knew all about domestic violence myself as a medical officer. I've seen it and dealt with it. But in my own life, I was trapped and I was isolated and I couldn't talk about it. And she says, here, the Justice Stephen Hall would later describe her partner as a manipulative and merciless offender who regularly abused his wife and kept 13 terabytes of encrypted child CSAM. And when people do bad things with animal images on his 3 laptops and a number of hard drives, they say her eyes welled up and her face crumples as she talks about what it was like inside her marriage to the man she calls Din. During that 4.5 years when I was with Din, he made it quite difficult for me. There was quite significant violence, emotional, physical, psychological, sexual, and financial. I think emotional abuse was the most difficult part to deal with. The constant manipulation, that constant control, which I felt. I was so much trapped, I could not leave. and constant threats to myself and my family and loved ones made me feel very helpless. The abuse escalated, and so did like her state of fear and anxiety until one night in June she snapped. She says she still can't remember what happened on that night. Didn't ask me to go to sleep, so I closed my laptop and I went to sleep. Then when I woke up, I really didn't know what happened that day, and I still don't know what happened. What happened was she bludgeoned her husband to death with a 1.79 kilo mallet. She called 000 at 6:30 a.m. in the morning on June 24th, and police officers arrived to find her huddled by the couch in a distressed state. When they walked into the main bedroom, they found her husband lying on the bed surrounded by blood with a pillow over his face and the mallet beside his head. She said, I cannot imagine because Din is my one and only partner. I loved him so much, and one reason I kept going is because I thought he would change one day to that gentle, loving person whom I met 4.5 years ago. I've seen the good side of him, I've seen the wonderful side of him, and I thought he would change if I followed his orders. I just tried to make him happy. 2 days after Din's death, she was charged with murder. When I got to prison, I found a safe haven, she said. After a 3-week trial that heard evidence of the extensive DV she endured, she was found not guilty of murder, but was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 4 years in prison, backdated to the night of her husband's death. She told friends she felt more free inside of the prison than in her own marriage. When I got to prison, it was a safe haven. I found my own peace in my mind and in my heart, and it let me explore myself and be myself. It was there that she developed a passion for painting. She says, it's like meditation. It helps me to concentrate. It helps me to liberate myself and take those emotions which have been hidden inside of me for so long, for years and years, to get them out in an easier way. And she says she wants to thank the Australian community because while behind bars, her friends stood by her, campaigning to allow her to stay in Australia after her visa was cancelled last year. That relief came in January when the immigration minister revoked his decision, which would have seen her deported to an uncertain future in Sri Lanka. They said that's another reason she wanted to share her story. She says, I wanted to thank the Australian community who has been there with me throughout those very difficult times, continuously supporting me. And she says, and I wanted to say sorry for Din's family for what they have had to go through, and wanted to express my sincere sympathies for everyone who's been affected. Interesting. So she bashed him to death in the face with a 1.8 kilo mallet. What does a 1.8 kilo mallet even look like? I don't even know. Let's have a look. 1.8 kilogram mallet. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. That's a 450 gram. All right. So this is similar to the weapon that she used to bludgeon him to death with the 1.79 kilo mallet. What? I got your email? I don't know what that means. I know. All right. Have fun, bud. I'll see you later. Sean says meat tenderizer? No, I think it's a mallet. Sarah Boone, not so fortunate. I don't know, guys. I don't really think Sarah Boone. It's a hard one because there is some demonstrated DV within the relationship and some kind of coercive control. But I also feel like it's hard. she fits some of the dynamics for a similar case, but some of them don't as well, which is why I think what happened to her is what happened to her. Touche says, can I ask, most of the subs in this chat from Australia? I love Ping's way of thinking and would just like to know. No, actually, 80% of our viewers and participants are from the USA. Oh, okay. All right. Do you want me to delete that? I can copy that from my thing. Can I delete that for you? Oh, you did delete it. Okay, I got it. Thanks, bud. See ya. Sean said a mallet is soft. I don't think a mallet has to be soft. I think you can get rubber mallets, like ones that have a soft rubber, but this one says it's here, let me see what it said. Where's the listing for it? Here. So just to prove the point differently, this one is a barrel shape solid lead mallet. And it weighs 2.6 or 2.8, I can't read. 2.8 kilos. So I don't know. I know lead is a soft metal, but I wouldn't exactly call that like foam to be hit in the face with. Would you like to be hit in the face with this mallet? You let me know. We can test it. I'll buy one, and then you can film a video. You can let me know, and then you can tell me. You can tell me whether it is soft or hard. I don't think it matters when someone's swinging that at you, like, you know, like trying to hurt you. I think definitely it would still hurt a lot, possibly even kill you, like what happened to Din in that story. Who keeps sending me emails? All right, guys, I have like 500 stories to do. By the way, because we didn't get to do it while we were away, and then I had the computer issues. Tomorrow night, we're going to do finally sit down and do that bloody draw that I was supposed to do when I was away. I carried all of your names in a text file on my phone all the way to Tasmania, hoping to do it, and we never ended up getting time. So tomorrow night, if you are waiting for that, be here for tomorrow night's live show, because I will be doing it then. Now that we can actually stream again, that's what we'll be doing. All right. Thank you, Reby, for that. That's interesting. It is sort of similar, yeah. He made her commit sex acts on Skype to appease his whatever. And pretty awful. Let me see. Hold on, guys. Nope, that's not what we want. All right, give me 1 second. I'm just loading up the other story. No, that doesn't help. All right, let's head to unfortunately ABC again.
This community is reeling from the tragic loss of a mother, friend, and childcare worker.
It was pretty tough telling the children.
The body of 28-year-old Molly Ticehurst was discovered in a home in Forbes early on Monday morning. Her young son was found safe elsewhere. The victim's former partner, Daniel Billings, was later arrested and charged with murder.
There's a veil of sadness across our community.
Court documents have revealed the 29-year-old was on bail for several charges against Ms. Ticehurst. They include multiple accusations of rape, intimidation, and damaging her property. Mr. Billings had also been charged with aggravated cruelty against a 12-week-old puppy. All were alleged to have occurred since December.
Something we're not doing right, and that troubles me terribly.
The Premier said he understands why people have many questions. He said he's meeting with the Attorney General to get a better understanding of the circumstances leading up to the alleged murder. Details of a review will be revealed on Wednesday.
There's legitimate questions as to how this happened. We have them too, and we know that the public want answers. In relation to changes to the law, we need to understand what happened in the immediate run-up to this.
So I think we covered Molly's murder once before, but there's been some updates, so I wanted to bring them to you. I'll go over the original details as well. Ruby says, I hope you got some aloe. Yeah, I've got aloe vera and moisturizer. It's not helping. It took the burn out of it, but I'm very flaky. I'm very flaky right now. Yeah, I don't know if you missed it before, but you can see the color gradient on my hand. If you're in, what do you call it, like a graphic design artist, here you go. That's red and that's white. You can use that to make your Photoshop perfect. There you go. I wanted to show you this. It says bombshell new R-word charge for Daniel Billings accused of killing his lover Molly and abusing her 12-week-old dachshund pup, sausage dog. There you go. They say Daniel Billings, 29, has been charged with her murder. The man accused of the DV murder of Molly is facing a fresh charge, including aggravated SA, and will be mentally assessed. Daniel Billings, 29, is charged with the murder of Miss, is it Tishhurst? Whose body was found in her home at Forbes in central New South Wales in the early hours of April 22nd. Billings was freed on bail a fortnight before the alleged murder on charges related to Molly, including 3 counts of sexual intercourse without consent and 4 counts of stalking and intimidating her. We covered this story when it happened, that a woman had been found in her home dead, and we were reporting at the time like the very early details of it, and now we're at the other end of the spectrum now. They're saying he was also charged with destroying property at her house and aggravated animal cruelty against her 12-week-old dachshund puppy between June and December 2023. Billings is accused of breaching an apprehended violence order and failing to comply with bail conditions on the night of April 21. They say Park's local court magistrate Brett Thomas on Thursday noted Billings, who has been in custody since his arrest in April, is facing 4 extra charges. Legal documents before the court showed new charges included aggravated SA in March 2024, with allegations he threatened to cause her further physical violence during the act. There was also a fresh charge of sexual intercourse without consent and 2 counts of destroying or damaging property. He absolutely looks like a massive tool. Like, look at these dollar store tattoos and you're, oh, I'm such a big guy. I put a skull on my chest. Makes me look real tough. Makes me look real tough. Buddy, you don't look so tough with that haircut, I promise. Ain't no one scared of your tattoos with that haircut. Your tattoos look like something off a bootleg video game in the 80s. It's like dollar store Nintendo. They're saying this is Molly here, photo of Molly that he killed. They're saying prosecutors have signed off on a total of 10 charges to proceed to higher courts, while documents indicated they may withdraw some overlapping counts before any future trial. Billings' legal aid solicitor, Diane Elston, told the court she had been advised of the details of the Crown case. We can have Mr. Billings mentally assessed, which I wasn't able to do before, she told the court. Several members of Molly's family were in court to watch the proceedings and declined to speak to media after the brief mention. Billings did not appear via audio-visual link to hear his charges formally certified. During a brief hearing in June, Billings appeared from the High Risk Management Correctional Centre in Goulburn Jail. The centre in southern New South Wales is designed to house high-risk male inmates or those with a high public profile. Molly's death intensified a growing movement against gendered violence and sparked New South Wales government changes to bail laws. Billings' case has been adjourned to March 21st, 2025. I want to see if we can find that original video from April. Hold on. Yeah. Let me see if I can grab this. No, that's not it. Yeah, let's go to Facebook. If it'll work.
New South Wales mum Molly Ticehurst this morning. Her ex-partner accused of murdering the 28-year-old 2 weeks after being released on bail. The state's premier now ordering a review into why.
These are just some of the faces of the 25 women allegedly killed by men this year alone. The nation's failure to protect them once more in the spotlight.
Let's bring in today's Jack Hahn at Sydney Police Centre. Jack, good morning to you. Molly had serious concerns before her death.
Yes, and given all of that you've just mentioned, questions are being raised about the court system in Australia this morning. Advocates arguing that courts are failing women, people, and even the police force that make arrests. The New South Wales Police Force, and more specifically the association, are fed up and frustrated this morning. They are wanting a full review into the court process, specifically honing in on the decisions made in relation to bail by magistrates and also registrars. A registrar is a step below a magistrate, but can step in and make decisions. They are commonplace in country courtrooms like the one in Dubbo, where Molly's accused murderer, Daniel Billings, was given bail by a registrar a few weeks ago. This morning, the New South Wales Premier will reveal the size and scope of the review, and he is also sending his condolences to Molly's family.
She's done everything right, and that family has lost their daughter, and the circumstances are horrifying.
Molly's father says that his daughter was living on edge over the last few weeks. She struggled to sleep, and this morning he is mourning, remembering his daughter as beautiful.
So you got a little bit more about Molly. Yeah, I remember when that one happened. I think we heard very early on that it was just a woman found dead in her home, and then more information came out that the man had been arrested shortly afterwards, had been her ex-partner, who she had a DV apprehended violence order against, and that he had broken it several times, while also, apparently, according to these charges, had been forcing himself on her during this separation. I mean, he's just a scumbag. 100% pure scumbag, and he's stupid crap tattoos. That's what happens when you get, oh, my mate knows someone who does tattoos. All you have to do is show up at the pig shed on a Friday night with $20 and, a case of beer, and you get all the tattoos you want. Well, you end up looking like this guy with like uneven tattoos, the lines uneven, the artistic representation's really terrible. Looks like someone, these look like, do you remember those tattoos you used to get and you put them on your arm and you put water and they'd like come off and you think you're really cool as a 9-year-old? These just look like the grown-up version of that. They look like they were put on his arm and he added a bit of water, then he peeled them off and he had these real crap tattoos. They don't make you look tough, and ain't no one looking tough with that haircut, so he just looks pathetic. That tat wasn't from the catalog, that's right. He is a pathetic excuse for whatever this is. I'm surprised, surprised he doesn't have one that says mom on it. Yeah, these are awful. Sorry, mate from down the road who did all these for, a few cones and a carton of beer. But you need to go back to tattoo school. All right. Yeah, they do look like they were copied off a dollar store coloring book. 100%. By the way, I wanted to say thanks to Sean. I noticed that a donation came through a few days ago. I really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. It's very kind of you. I think that's it. I think that's about it for tonight. Tonight was really a test to see if we could even stream anymore. It was to see if the computer could handle it, if it would work. Luckily, it did, and which means I will be back tomorrow at my normal time. So I will be back for the late show again tomorrow, and we'll have a lot more details. I still feel very rusty. I still feel like I haven't quite got it down pat again. So we'll have to wait. But great news, well, some news about Dominic P. Glad he's been sentenced to 20 years in jail. Let's all hope he dies there, so society doesn't have to be graced by his presence ever again, because he is just scumbag, really. Hold on, I just wanted to check this one thing if we had an update for it before I go. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, it's a little bit more about Ashley Paul Griffith. I wanted to show you this.
Former childcare worker Ashley Paul Griffith has renewed demands for change.
Parents of his Sydney victims are among those now calling for a royal commission into the nation's child protection system.
Hetty Johnston has spent more than 2 decades championing the rights of sexually abused children. Now, the former Australian of the Year wants a national probe into the child protection system.
There does need to be a royal commission into that because it does affect each and every state.
Highlighted this week when paedophile and former childcare worker Ashley Paul Griffith was sentenced to life for abusing 69 little girls. His actions undetected for almost a decade. The parents of his victims echoing calls for reform and a closer look at daycare facilities.
Our centre was the one towards the end there, and there were so many victims and so many maintaining charges at our centre. So it just really goes to show the level of negligence.
There are also calls to give police more powers to search potential offenders following allegations.
I understand the parents are looking for more than that, and I do think more can be done.
Research from the Australian Child Maltreatment Study found almost 29% of Australians have experienced some form of sexual abuse, translating to almost 1 in 4, with girls more likely to be victims, also more likely to report it than boys.
We need our institutions and all of the states, police, health, education, to get on board with change.
To protect our children from predators like this. Rachel Baxter, 7 News.
So some good updates, hopefully some change in the way some of the reporting is done to help save possibly some kids in the future, especially young females, from being victimized by absolute the worst of the worst, like Ashley Paul Griffith. He is do you know why he said he did it? He said he did it because it was easy and he could. That's why he said he did it, what he did to those girls. He is possibly Australia's worst PDF file and was charged with I think it's over 1,000 charges related to his offending at multiple daycare centers where he had been posting his his handiwork to the dark web, but it took police so long to track it down, and the only reason they tracked it down was a piece of bedding was made specifically for that childcare company, and then they were able to go to the manufacturer and said who made this certain bedding. They got a name of a company, then they backtracked through the records of who would have been at all these different centers when all this alleged offending happened, and there was only one name that came up, and it was Ashley Paul Griffith. Which, one of the shocking things about this is several little girls had actually complained to their parents and other people at these childcare centers that Ashley had touched them inappropriately, and most of the claims were ignored or swept under the rug, or said to the child that they had a very imaginative mind, that they had an overactive imagination and that these things didn't happen. and then we find out that he is possibly the devil incarnate, really, walking around in human clothing and attacking young children. Yeah, I hope we can see more justice for those children for sure. I'm glad you're back. Yeah, I'm glad you're back. Yeah, all right, guys. Hey, I'll be back tomorrow, okay? I'll see you tomorrow. We'll be back for the late show at a more appropriate time, okay? Get some sleep. We'll be back. We're going to do the hoodie draw tomorrow. So if you've entered, be here tomorrow so I can pull your name out of the spinny wheel thing, okay? Good night, everyone. Love you all. See you later. Bye.